Tubers and trolls, welcome back to Telesplash Gaming. I'm Chris. I read a stat recently through Business Insider that said 65% of American households have a gamer living in them. And that makes perfect sense. That didn't surprise me at all. What did surprise me was the average age of the gamer is 35 years old. And that got me thinking. That means we have one generation of gamers who are now having kids and families, raising a new generation of gamers. And as a parent myself, I have a 6-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. There's certain steps we have to take as his father and mother to kind of ensure that he is protected, but we also want to give him the freedom to enjoy his gaming journey and kind of let him learn things on his own. So I just have a few simple steps that my wife and I follow to kind of monitor his gaming, and I hope that you guys can learn a few things. If there's new parents or soon-to-be parents that are kind of wondering what other people do, well, this is a quick video kind of explaining a few things that we do to let him enjoy his gaming journey, yet still have that kind of parent looking over his shoulder. So let's get this video started. Alright guys, so I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and as a parent there are so many things to worry about. And one of those things is what they watch on television and games. And so what this is about is just talking about a few steps my wife and I take to kind of help monitor what they're doing in their gaming lives. And mainly it's geared towards my son, who's 6 at the time, and he's getting into his gaming journey. And so I just have a couple quick things I wrote down that I want to talk about. And this video is not going to go over stats and violence leading to, outbursts or anything like that. That's a very divisive subject, and there's people who are much smarter than myself who have pages of stats. And the stats that I've read, it's really indecisive. There's really no proof one way or the other, depending on who you talk to. And so I didn't want to get into that. But what's important is just, these 6 steps that I wrote down. And so with that, number 1 is monitor their account. What I mean by that is I don't let my 6-year-old son, or eventually 10, 12-year-old, 15-year-old son, have these accounts where I can't have any visibility to what they're doing. And so I have access to his PlayStation, his Xbox, his Android. Everything is connected through my cell phone, and I'm able to actually see what's going on, what requests he gets, what apps he's downloading, what games he's looking at. And that way I can go through and say, that's not going to happen, or okay. And so I think the number 1 thing is just monitor their account. It's not being nosy. It's, as a parent, it's just one of those things that we should be doing. And so if you're going to be a parent, or you have some younger kids that are getting their gaming journey, the first thing I would do is definitely monitor their account. Second thing, I would use the ESRB. The ESRB, I think, is a really good general system for just kind of checking out the basics of what the game is going to be like. We have E for everyone, and then we have the E for 10+, and typically the E for 10+ means that there's going to be a little bit of violence. I mean, Disney Infinity is a great game that my 6-year-old son loves, but it's E 10+, because there is punching and kicking and fighting, and we feel that our son is mature enough, and what he watches cartoon-wise kind of relates to the Marvel's, cinematic universe and the cartoons, so we felt like some of these E 10+ games that he's playing are okay. And you'll see he plays Knack. I think Minecraft is also on there. So there's quite a few games that are E10+, and that's kind of the main threshold we keep him in. But we also have a couple games, you'll notice, Star Wars Battlefront, that are T for teen. Now, he's definitely not teen. He's not even close to being teen. He's not even mature enough to think like a teen. But we are a Star Wars family, and so we made the exception to let him play a teen game, because to him, Star Wars is just, it's the lore, it's exciting, we let them watch the movies. And so, typically we don't let our kids watch any of our movies, but PG-13 is really pushing it. But Star Wars is one of those where we allowed him to play Star Wars Battlefront, even though there is some form of realism in there, because he loves Star Wars, we love Star Wars, and we felt like to him it's more of just part of the experience, and we're okay with that. The next thing I said on here is, you want to protect your kids, but not shelter them. And what I mean by that is, sheltering to me is you're covering your kids up and you're shunning them from the world. And I don't know if that's the correct way to do it when it comes to anything, and especially TV and video games. So what I mean by protecting is, we, as well as monitor, make sure that our kids are not playing the games they shouldn't, not watching the shows they shouldn't be watching, but we also let them know that they're around, that there is games that are more violent, that are scary, that are, above what they're ready for. And we don't let them test them out by all means, but we just, I let my son know that there are games you're not going to play. And a great example of this, and it's almost hypocritical of me, but we let him play Fortnite because I played it and he watched me, and then I let him play it just kind of messing around, and he loved it. And I told my wife, I said, this game's a little bit older, but I'm gonna let him play it It's not any worse than Star Wars Battlefront. It's more whimsical, it's cartoony, and so we let him play Fortnite, but we don't let him play PUBG. We don't let him play Call of Duty. We don't let him play any of those first-person shooters that have that kind of more realism to it, although Star Wars Battlefront is kind of like that. But as a parent, we want to protect him. He knows what's out there, and there's lots of games that are available that he can play, so he has a lot of years of gaming ahead of him, and he can catch up on some of these games. So we don't shelter our kids, we just protect them. We want to keep him safe, and we want to let him know what's out there, but he doesn't need to experience it at this point in his life. And maybe when he's 10, maybe he'll be ready for a little bit more realism, but right now he's not, and maybe at 10 he won't be. The fourth thing I said is you have to limit gameplay, and as much as I love putting in some major gaming sessions, you can't allow your kids, in my opinion, to play games all day. I know it's an easy way to have your kids be babysat by giving them a controller and putting them in front of the TV, and believe me, I've been guilty of it myself multiple times, especially when I have late night gaming sessions and it's early morning and my kids get up and I'm like, here's a tablet, or hey, go play some PlayStation, go play your Xbox. But at the end of the day, we do limit his gameplay, and we try to keep it, to where he gets enough time to play and feel like he's accomplishing something, but we also make sure that he's doing other things, schoolwork, other sports, playing with his sister, building things. He loves playing Minecraft. It's one of his favorite games, and there's a ton of creativity in that, but there's also a chance for him to back out of that and build with Legos and do other projects, build forts. So he's definitely creative, and we want to kind of grow that and help him blossom, if that's what is necessary, but it doesn't always need to be in a video game. The fifth point that I put on here was to encourage other hobbies, but don't leverage gaming against them. And what I mean by that is, as much as a parent as we want our kids to do what we want to do, and we want them to like what we like, that doesn't always happen. And so you can't punish them with the thing they love doing for not doing something that you want them to do. And what I mean by that is, I grew up playing soccer, and I loved it. And I loved my son playing soccer. And fortunately, he does love it. But if he didn't like it, I wasn't going to say, since you don't play soccer, you can't play your video games as much. I want to keep his hobbies separate. If he has a passion and a love for one hobby, I want to help grow that. But I also want him to experience other hobbies to make sure that he either likes or dislikes them. So we've had him go through lots of sports, different activities, and some of them he doesn't like at all. And that's okay. He doesn't have to like every single sport. He doesn't have to like every single little get-together we do. But I want him to experience it. And so we make sure that he has other hobbies, and we don't leverage those against, let's say, his video game time. Because if he's passionate about gaming, which he is, I want to help grow that too. But I'm not going to leverage it against it. Now, that being said, we have, grounded him from games or TV or whatever because of maybe bad attitude or things like that, or, not doing well in school one day. So I do believe that it's a great way to kind of keep him grounded, is to take away, what he loves doing. But again, I don't leverage it because of something that I want him to do. So with that being said, that's number 5. We're moving on to the last. And the last one is really kind of simple. It's kind of a stupid one, but I think it's important. It's use your instincts. As a parent, we've been on this earth far longer than our kids. And, we're adults now for the most part. And it's important to use your instincts. And sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith when it comes to certain things. And a great example of this for me is, my son, for some reason, at 6 years old, wanted to watch It. First off, there's no way he's going to watch it. The language, it's too scary, everything. My wife said no way, which was, obviously we were in agreement there. But he hounded us so much about it that I thought, how can I show him that he doesn't want to do it? So what I did is I actually let him watch a 30-second trailer on YouTube of it. After 30 seconds, he was like, I don't want to watch it, it's too scary. And he left me alone. And that was, one of those moments where it could have backfired. He could have said, yeah, let's watch it. Let's sit down, grab some popcorn, get me a Coke and some of those Sour Punch straws, and let's do this. But he didn't. It kind of showed him, we know what we're talking about for the most part. So as parents, you have to use your instincts. And sometimes you have to kind of show him what he's missing, or show him what he's not missing in that instance. And that is, he's not ready for that. And when he's 10, he's still probably not going to be ready for those kind of movies. Or 12, there's just too much going on. There's too many movies and games out there for him that he can enjoy. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much. It's a quick video. It's not for everybody. I'm not going, like I said, into a bunch of stats on video game violence and things like that. It's more about just, we're raising kids. You know, I have a 6-year-old boy, but I'm raising a man at the end of the day. I'm growing a man right now, and I want him to be a, you know, successful member of society, and I want him to be passionate about anything he does. And if his passion is involving video games, then I want to grow that. If it's movies, if it's sports, if it's reading, if it's anything, you know, academic, that's fantastic. I just want to help him in his journey, and this is just one of those things that if I can help you as a parent follow a few of my guidelines, or it helps anybody, I think this video is worth it. So guys, with that being said, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll put some new content back into the gaming world here soon. Thanks a lot.